The Battle of Tashan was a battle during the Chinese Civil War fought in the western part of northeast China, between forces of the Kuomintang National Revolutionary Army and the Communist People's Liberation Army, and resulted in a PLA victory. The battle was critical in determining the outcome of the Battle of Jinzhou and, consequently, that of the entire Liaoshan campaign. The battle is more commonly known as the blocking battle at Tashan, and is widely regarded by the Communists as the first of the three most crucial blocking operations during the Chinese Civil War. The name Tashan, literally translated to Pagoda Mountain, was short for Tashanbao. Contrary to its name, there were neither pagoda nor mountains in the only defensive bunkers were the ones hastily built by the Communists temporarily for the upcoming battle. The place was actually a village of 100 or so households, some 30 kilometers away from Jinzhou, with the main road to Jinzhou passing directly through the center of the village. Prelude. After encircling Jinzhou, the Communists were facing an incoming nationalist reinforcement of a total of 11 divisions, and were well aware of the importance of stopping nationalist reinforcements from reaching Jinzhou. The PLA deployed a total of 8 divisions and an artillery brigade at Tashan, with Cheng Zihua, the commander of the Northeast Field Army's 2nd Corps, in charge. In order to better assist local commanders, Luo Rongwan got approval from Lin Biao to send Su Jing, a senior staff officer at General Headquarters of the Communist Force in northeast China, to Tashan. However, the local Communist commanders, especially those of 4th Column, resented Luo Rongwan's decision to send Su Jing. After he arrived at the headquarters of 4th Column, they jokingly referred to him as the equivalent of an ancient Chinese Imperial Army overseer. Feeling that Luo Rongwan and Lin Biao were doubtful they were competent enough to accomplish their assigned mission. Luckily, the excellent work of the political commissar of the 4th Column, Mo Wenhua, was able to resolve the issue, and the Communists avoided the kind of factional disputes that existed in the nationalist camp. Order of battle. Attackers. National Revolutionary Army Order of battle. The 54th Army. The 62nd Army. 2 divisions from the 39th Army. 21st Division of the 92nd Army. The 62nd Division. The Independent 95th Division. Naval and Air Assets. Defenders. People's Liberation Army Order of battle. The 4th Column. The 11th Column. Rihe Independent 4th Division. Rihe Independent 6th Division. An artillery brigade. Battle. The battle started before dawn on October 10, 1948, at 3 a.m., with the Nationalists successfully launching a surprise attack with numerical and technical superiority, taking the island of Fishing Mountain at low tide. Fishing Mountain Island was a critical position, in that whoever controlled the islands would threaten the flank of Tashan. The grave danger was realized by the commander of the Communist 4th Column, Wu Kehua, who immediately ordered a counterattack to retake the island. The mission was successfully accomplished, and the island remained firmly in Communist hands for the remainder of the battle. Although nationalist aircraft dropped over 5,000 heavy bombs on Communist positions, which were also pounded by nationalist naval shelling, the attack was not well coordinated because nationalist commanders on the ground lacked the authority to command air and naval assets, which were under the direct control of Chiang Kai-shek and his high command. As a result, the Communists were able to dig in underground without suffering significant casualties, despite most of their fortifications above the ground being demolished by nationalist attacks from air and sea. Despite nationalist encouragements, including a $500,000 incentive reward for each troop, repeated nationalist charges against Communist positions were beaten back. The Communists even at one point used nationalist corpses to improvise temporary fortifications, which proved to be a psychological shock to the attacking nationalist troops. As a result, the nationalists were unable to advance any further towards Jinzhou. On October 15, the news of the fall of Jinzhou had reached nationalist reinforcements at Tashan. Realizing there was no longer any reason for further attack, and fearful of an all-out counterattack by the communists, who now had additional troops freed up from the conquest of Jinzhou to reinforce Tashan, the nationalists made a hasty retreat at noon, leaving behind a total of 6,549 killed. The battle concluded with a victory for the communists, whose casualties included 7,827 killed, 15,922 wounded, 3 captured and 22 missing. Outcome: the communists' successful repelling of nationalist forces at Tashan was one of the most important factors contributing to the nationalist loss in the Battle of Jinzhou, and consequently the nationalist defeat in the Liaoshan campaign. It could be argued that the nationalist failure had much more to do with internal power struggles and factional problems among themselves, and Chiang Kai-shek, the nationalist generalissimo, came in for some blame. The communists would have had little chance of stopping nationalist reinforcements if Wei Luowang's original battle plan had been carried out by the capable commander, Chen Tai, Wei Luowang's deputy. Putting the deputy commander-in-chief in command illustrated that the local nationalists realized the importance of this battle, but such moves were completely negated by the nationalist supreme commander himself. Chiang Kai-shek selected Ke Hankian to replace Chen Tai, and Ke Hankian was directly commanded by Chiang, not taking orders from Wei Luowang. Because of this, the original nationalist plan was ruined. Chiang's move also alienated other nationalists in northeast China, who felt that he did not trust them and judged them incompetent. As a result, they lost the incentive to work with Ke Hankian, because if he achieved success in defeating the communists, it would only strengthen Chiang's original negative opinion of them. The commander of the nationalist 62nd Army, Lin Baikao, had openly clashed with Ke Hankian and refused to take orders from him. It wasn't only the commanders sent by Chiang Kai-shek who could not get along with the local commanders, they also could not get along with each other. Ke Hankian was constantly interfered with by Luo Qi, the other senior commander was also sent by Chiang, and Luo Qi constantly filed secret reports to Chiang informing on other commanders' behavior, including Ke Hankian, who was accused by Luo Qi of not being enthusiastic about his mission. It was obvious that nationalist commanders were not able to effectively conduct operations under such conditions. Not only were the nationalist frontline commanders unable to effectively command their army units, they were also completely incapable of directing any air and naval assets. Chiang had ordered the nationalist Air Force and Navy to provide support, but without giving any authority to commanders on the ground to use them directly. Even Ke Hankian and Luo Qi could not direct air and naval assets without going through Chiang first. As a result, nationalist naval shelling and airstrikes were not coordinated with ground offensives to any great effect. Another reason for ineffective nationalist air and naval operations was that all nationalist officers, including Chiang himself, had doubts as to the success of the mission, and the nationalists were faced with a dilemma. Should they risk the few valuable air and naval assets they had to a plausible lost cause? Or should they preserve these resources to be used elsewhere where the nationalists had brighter prospect? The decision was difficult and certainly limited the usage of these assets. The personality of the nationalist commanders was also a contributor factor to their defeat. Hu Dingru and Hui Dan, the commander and deputy commander of the Qinhuang Daojingsi disambiguation needed garrison, were capable commanders originally tasked to assist Chen Tai. However, despite their excellence, Hu and Hui were extremely loyal and blindly obedient to Chiang Kai-shek and would not voice any complaints regarding their superiors' mistakes. This was evidenced by the fact that, after the 21st Division of the NRA 92nd Army under the command of Hu Jingru was annihilated in the autumn offensive of 1947 in northeast China, Hu did not voice any complaints to his superior Chen Sheng and Chiang. As a capable military commander, Hu Jingru had reached the same conclusion as his superior Chen Sheng. Northeast China was a lost cause for the nationalists, who would be much better off if they had given up the region and used the freed troops elsewhere where they were in better positions, and recapture the region when things had turned better. However, unlike his outspoken superior Chen Sheng, who openly advocated this idea, Hu kept quiet and faithfully carried on to the end the impossible tasks set by Chiang, who had earned Chiang's deep trust, but this would come at a heavy price. When Chiang personally sent two of his senior officers to replace the much more capable Chen Tai, Hu and Hui did not voice their concern regarding two new commanders' incompetence. At the same time, Hu and Hui were also aware of the nationalist problems they could not solve, and not wanting to be scapegoats for failure, the two chose to wait by not going to help the two new SAR commanders, who out of jealousy did not want him to be involved anyway. The primary reason Chiang Kai-shek decided to intrude on the chain of command by sending two of his own senior officers to take over command of the battle was the result of difference in strategic vision between him and Wei Luang, the commander-in-chief of the nationalist forces in northeast China. Chiang was still obsessed with holding as much land as long as he possibly could, while Wei Luang believed that nationalists should conserve manpower even if that meant ceding lands temporarily. However, for Chiang and most of the nationalist high command, surrendering lands was politically unacceptable.